Welcome to Athletes Lives Network exclusive interviews. Today our guest, football coach, Coach Kilander. How you doing, Coach?
Really good. How about yourself, Carl?
Doing real well. As you know, our website is based on helping athletes, first of all, get exposure, allowing them to see, get experience from former athletes as well as coaches, so these guys can improve in their future endeavors. So I want to thank you for being on the website.
Hey, no problem. I really enjoy helping kids, and look forward to working with you and getting to meet you and continue to get kids from Northwest Indiana around the state of Indiana more exposure to colleges and helping out with their college choices.
That's great. That's great. Um, based on how I want to start off is first question is just give us a little background of who you are and your early influences in sports.
Well, I grew up here in Northwest Indiana. Went to 6 different grade schools. Finally landed over at Crown Point High School, where I played football and baseball. Went on to Cathedral High School. We had a great team there. Crown Point, we had the first undefeated team in Crown Point history before we got blew out by Hobart in sectional game, the old cluster system. And we had a quarterback, Tom Yowie, who is executive producer for Fox Sports now, and it was really exciting to play with him. And then go down to Cathedral, we had 3 guys make the NFL. Blaine Bishop plays for the Tennessee Titans.
Wow.
Derek Brownlow with the Cowboys, the Redskins. And then we also had Mo Gardner, who played about 10 years for the Atlanta Falcons. It was a great experience. The home games were in the Hoosier Dome, the very first year of the Hoosier Dome, and we went 2-2 there. Won one more game than the Colts did that year. Being a Bears fan, I enjoyed that. But we got to play against Ken Griffey Jr., who was a kick returner for Cincinnati Moeller.
Wow.
And Jeff George was a quarterback at Warren Central. He beat us on the last play of the game, broke our hearts. But we had a nice team there. Entered the tournament at number 2 in the state. Lost to Ron Colley, who was number 1, and they ended up winning state that year. Kind of a disappointing there, but went from there back to Crown Point to actually graduate, and then to Vincennes Junior College, where I was going to play baseball and decided not to. Kind of a regret, but then went over to Purdue Cal and got in the publications business through Regional Radio Sports, and my good friend to this day, Paul Condry, and was involved in the Indiana High School Football Guide for a number of years, where I first met you, Carl. Coach Richards brought you guys out to a show one night, and we did a lot of radio, a lot of publications work, and was very proud of what we did there. For 8 years I was there, and kind of have a falling out there, so I was looking for something to do, and Coach Hidalgo suggested I come coach baseball at East Chicago Central. Given the opportunity, I took it up, started substitute teaching there that first year, and then was offered a paraprofessional job in the school with Coach Turgovich, who at the time had just come over from Andrea, wasn't coaching that year, and got to know him very well that year. Was coaching football, wrestling, and baseball. Went back to the publications company actually, but continued to coach just football at Central, and had a great time coaching the kids at Central. Really very enjoyable experience there, and then helped to volunteer with the basketball team with Coach Turgovich for 2 years, and obviously that was enjoyable, brought a lot of smiles, a lot of Central fans as the Cardinals won state in 2007. And then thought I was done, had our first child, Olivia, who's 4 now, and went over to, thought I was done. Coach Richards, I ran into him at a Railcats baseball game. Suggested I coach at Morton. I went over there, had a great year with him. Thought I would be there for a while, but the publications company kind of went on the fritz, and took a job at Middle Steel, which I quickly found out wasn't for me, but wasn't able to coach with Coach Richards after that because of the job requirements. So then I went over to the mill. Coach Turgovich called, said they have some jobs open in the special ed department at East Chicago. I had been laid off and hurt a few times, and went ahead and jumped at the opportunity to go back. Didn't know if I'd coach, and then was asked to be on the hiring committee for the new football coach here in the spring, and they brought in Stacy Adams, and Coach Adams and I quickly talked, and I realized I needed to be coaching again, and went out with him and had a really enjoyable first year as we looked to turn this program around, and it's going to be heading in the right direction. It already is, I believe, and looking forward to the future. We have a new stadium coming, new artificial field, and the future is very bright over there at Central for football.
Okay. I want to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned that you play football in Annapolis at Cathedral. What what level of football, or is there a difference in the caliber of football from Cathedral to Crown Point, or basically from Central Indiana to Northwest Indiana?
I think in Central Indiana, I think your elite athletes all play football. In Marion County, at the Cathedrals, the Warren Centrals, the Men Davises, and I think that might not be the case up here. A lot of kids maybe concentrate on basketball, or maybe concentrate on baseball. And I think those schools, a lot of schools have been targeted as recruiting.
Okay.
I think those schools not necessarily recruit, maybe some do and some don't, but what happens is kids gravitate towards those schools. If you're a football player, you're going to think about going to a Warren Central, even though you might live on a different part of town. You might think about sending your kid to Cathedral or to a Chatard. So I think that helps because the athletic programs recruit themselves. And I think that happens in a lot of successful programs, and that's continued to happen down there. The kids from all parts of Indianapolis going to those powerhouse schools instead of maybe the school that's right down the street.
Gotcha. So why is football so much? I'm gonna say this, more superior in Indianapolis than it is here in Northwest Indiana.
I wish you probably asked about every region coach up here. I wish there was a magical button to push to make that not happen, but enrollment numbers are big. You have Warren Central, Ben Davis, Pike, those schools are huge. Cathedral is the largest parochial school in the state, 4A. Our numbers aren't as high, even our bigger schools. I think their enrollments are shrinking a little bit. I think I don't think they work harder. I don't think there's a better athlete. I think their numbers are, in general, are higher. I think they've bought a little bit of the year-round participation a little quicker than maybe the coaches appear to have. But I think coaching now is, as you know, Carl, is 24/7, 365 days a year. There's no off season. You have to stay that way all year round, or you'll fall behind the Joneses. You really will.
Okay, so what year did you start coaching sports in general?
2002, the spring of 2002, or actually 2003, I coached baseball over at Central High School for Coach Hidalgo, and then he asked me to join the football staff. And, first year we went 5-5, I believe. We had Kyle Monroe, Jeremy Kelly, Michael Smith, Ruben Ramos in that senior class, and we had a pretty good year. The next year was really the year that I think a lot of Central fans, and we anticipated it as having a great year. And unfortunately, we had the distinction of opening up against Maribel and Portage, the first and second ranked teams in the region that year.
Wow.
Lost some pretty tight games to those teams. We know it was going to be a good year. We won 7 in a row after that. And of course, the ping pong balls in Indianapolis didn't bounce our way. We drew Maribel in the sectional. But a game we led right before the half, and we had a punt very similar to the Giants punt against the Eagles the other day. They returned it for a touchdown right before the half. And went in the locker room excited still. Saw 9 kids going both ways, and we were done. We're going to be a good team with 9 guys going both ways. But we had some special players on that team. Jamie Stewart was an electrifying receiver that could take it to the house at any point. Sam Daniels was an absolute playmaker at the running back spot. David Rodriguez had just an absolute cannon for an arm. Ty Gillis, Aaron Spiller were some playmakers. A lot of smaller kids that with big hearts that played upon that offensive and defensive line that really played good, hard football. We also had 2 young kids. Kevin Alvarado was now at Bowling Green, and Kawan Short, a sophomore at that time, now at Purdue, kind of grooming and coming into their own at that point too. So actually, Kawan was just a freshman on the team actually. So but they were starting to come into their own. And then the next year we had, we knew it was going to be a rebuilding season. A couple kids that we counted on didn't make it academically, were forced to go to prep school. Really struggled, and I think we won three games and lost 7. And then a coaching change was made. I wasn't coming back anyway. My wife was pregnant, like I said, with our first child. And had the distinction of having our daughter, and then volunteered with basketball for a couple of years with Coach Turgovich, and obviously that was a lot of fun, seeing the state championship banner and sitting on the bench and watching the crazy amount of fans cheering for Central in that state championship game.
Wow. So give us a little more feedback on what is it like to be a coach for a Chicago athlete.
I tell you, it's a very rewarding experience. I've had opportunities to go to some other schools, and other than the 1 year at Morton, I've decided to stay. I just enjoy the competitive spirit of the East Chicago kids, and if you're real with them, you're honest with them, and they know you care about what they do, they will run through a wall for you, and that's what I really enjoy. Really enjoy helping them achieve their goals, seeing what they're able to do, and to get them to see the light at the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel. Hey, I can go to college, I can make something of myself. And I love not only talking football, talking sports, but talking life to them. You know, I always try to have a conversation with them about their daily activities, or what's going on at home, or as much as you don't like them having girlfriends, find out what's going on there, you know. But I just enjoy the kids at East Chicago Central. I think I'm really blessed to have coached there. God's put me there for a reason. I'm very excited to have been there and hope to be there for a few more years.
Gotcha. I'm a former East Chicago athlete, and there's a lot of pressures going on. There's a lot of pressures, you know, as you know, in the city, families. Also, as an athlete, one of the big things that was, I'm gonna say, a big distraction to athletes is that a lot of athletes believe they have to go big time to the top schools in the nation, and I was one of them. I felt like if I didn't go Division I wouldn't have an opportunity to go pro. Well, as we know now, you can go to any school now in the country, and if you're good enough, you can make it. But give us a little feedback to the athlete, to explain to them that it's not about going to the biggest, best school in the nation.
No, you know, you turn on TV on Saturday morning, you don't see Marion College, you don't see St. Francis, you don't see Manchester, you don't see St. Joe or Earlham, and sometimes it's hard to get the youngster, the kid, to realize, well, you know, maybe I could go there. I can get my education paid for. I can play some football, and I can move and do something productive with my life. And there's a lot of different trains of thought on how to get those kids there. Just recently talked to a coach who won a lot of state championships. He said, you know what, you let them figure that out. You know, sometimes I'm not sure if that's right. Sometimes you have to be realistic. This past year, we told the kids to come up with a list of where they were looking at for college, and we had some unrealistic expectations on it. Sometimes you have to sit them down and explain to them with their situation that, you know, they don't fit the prototype of the Division I, or maybe academically they don't fit. You know, there's a lot of variables that go into being a Division I athlete, and a lot of that recruiting is done that junior year now. It's not done during your senior year. Maybe a little bit at end of or beginning of your senior year evaluation, but most of the evaluation process is done for your junior year for Division I football. But find that opportunity. These Division II schools give out good academic money for you to, and athletic money for you to go. NAIA is not a bad way to go. Division III, they'll come up with some packages for you to go there based on academic grants. So you can get your education paid for free. You just have to find the right fit for you. And sometimes it's just taking a kid in a car, driving them over there and saying, hey, look at these kids. You know, they're very similar to you. Find your niche. Find out where you can go. And not every school's made for each person. You have to find what's made for you. And sometimes that's hard to get across to a young man, but eventually they're going to have to do that because not everybody has that prototype to play at that big time level.
Can you explain to the athletes academically, what does it take to be eligible to play college football on any level?
I'll tell you, it's gotten harder. It's kind of a frustration, I think, almost to me, is you have all the GQE testing, the I-steps, you now have to do the clearinghouse. They've kind of made it almost hard to get there. You have to get all this paperwork done. You have to take all these tests to get to that Division I level. And a lot of kids don't understand their clock starts the minute you walk in ninth grade year. Those grades are with you for your lifetime, and you can't wipe those out, and your GPA stays with you. We're with a young man right now whose GPA was bad his freshman year, and it's hurting, and it's going to hurt his college chances. His GPA's been fine since, but his GPA was so bad as a freshman, it's really hurt his college opportunities, and that's really a shame that kids don't understand it. You got to make sure if you think you're that Division I athlete or even Division II athlete, that you're in the right core classes. We had a kid a few years ago not in the right core classes. You really had to work his tail off behind the scenes to make it happen for him. So sometimes you have to go the extra mile for yourself and making sure that people at the school are taking care of you and the guidance counselors, the principals, your coaches, your teachers, anybody there that's willing to help you, athletic directors, make sure that they are helping you get what you need. Be aggressive.